This episode is part of an ongoing story. If you're new here, you might want to start with episode 1. Previously, on what happens between the scenes.
When his last load was dry, Lee shoved it into a bag unfolded and gave her a side arm hug before he left. Though he'd done everything possible to soothe her, she couldn't help but feel anxious about the next class. They'd have to perform that kiss in front of everyone, including Kira.
And now for episode 4.
Thursday, Emma prepared for class, wondering what to expect. After Lee had left the day they did laundry, he had texted some about the skit, but they hadn't rehearsed together again. Still nervous about his relationship status, she decided she would walk into class the same as any other day. Performing in front of others moved her creatively, so why should she let anything get in the way of that? She glanced across the room when she got settled. Lee sat with his arm around Kira. That answered that question. They were back together, just as he'd said would likely happen. She thought back to the week before when she'd seen them in the same way. She hated herself for letting it sting now. Her attention snapped to the present when Mr. Barton called out her project. "Okay, let's have Springtime Sonnet," he said. The time had come. Heart-pounding, Emma ran lines in her head with each step toward the stage, contemplating if her choices had been worth all the trouble. Lee showed no signs of hesitation, as he'd already bounded up the steps on the other side, stretching as he waited for her. Black painted wood creaked underneath Emma's feet as she coolly crossed to the center of the stage. She kept her eyes glued to Mr. Barton, waiting for his cue. Given the go-ahead, she couldn't avoid Lee any longer. When she turned to him, his relaxed attitude appeared as though nothing had ever been out of place. He smiled at her, encouraging her to decompress. Grateful that he delivered on his promise that nothing had to be weird in the place they both loved, she smiled back. She breathed in a deep, calming breath and began her lines. After the first few words, the workshop faded away. She became Lady Jane, clutched in the depths of despair at having to leave Edmund for the last time. Working off of Lee's energy felt natural, and she understood why Mr. Barton had paired him with her. Just as she had transformed into Lady Jane, he'd done the same with Edmund, giving no clue he disapproved of the mushy script. She almost forgot about the kiss altogether until it happened. With his closing line, Lee brought his fingers to her cheek. He pressed his lips to hers gently and then retreated. That wasn't so bad at all. Certain they'd get positive feedback, Emma almost broke character, ready to hear what they could improve on. But Lee didn't move. His eyes held her captive with the anguish Edmund felt. Without giving her a second to think, he pulled her to him, taking her mouth again with fervor. He slid his arms around her back, bringing one hand up to cradle her neck in a tender grip. She tasted his lips over and over, the way she had before he'd taken her to bed nearly a week earlier. Spellbound, Emma gripped his sides. She didn't feel like Lady Jane anymore. She felt like Emma, kissing Lee. Reality dawned on her, and anger rose in her chest as she pushed him back. They stood with eyes deadlocked, winded from the passionate encounter. Mr. Barton broke the silence. "Okay, thank you. Who has notes for these two?" Shocked at his indifferent attitude, Emma questioned whether anyone watching had recognized what happened. An unfamiliar voice said, "Well, they were believable as in love, but do they have to eat each other's faces?" "Agreed," said Mr. Barton. "Lee, explain your purpose for the kiss scene." Lee but didn't move his gaze from Emma's. "I just thought since it was Edmund's last chance to say goodbye, the kiss would be more desperate." "I see. Let's do that last part again," said Mr. Barton. "For the overall feel of the skit, it should be less intense, but more than a simple peck. Start with Lady Jane's last line." With a lump in her throat, Emma searched her mind for the words. Forcefully, she spewed them out, fearing how she sounded. How could he? He'd spent all that time with her to remove any distress, and then repeated part of what caused her worry right in front of the one person who concerned her most. If Kira didn't have a vendetta against her before, she would now. Lee cautiously proceeded. Hands on her hips, his lips lingered on hers only a moment before releasing her. "Yes, that's better. Mr. Barton said. "We can work on it again in the next session." Emma steamed in her seat for the remainder of the class. When Mr. Barton finally released them, Emma practically sprinted for the door lest Kira's boyfriend, the romantic artiste, wanted to talk to her. He'd kissed her like he meant it, and no one seemed to notice or care. In the hall, she ran into her friend Brandon. "Hey, you okay?" he asked. "I need to leave immediately. Tracy is meeting me at Drip. Come have coffee with us and we can talk." "Oh boy, you like this guy," Brandon said. As they waited for his girlfriend, Emma had told him about the exuberant onstage kiss. "What gives you that idea?" she asked. "You took his scene interpretation as something real." Emma had originally met Brandon in her Monday vocal class. Once they'd become friends, he introduced her to Tracy, and the three of them hung out often. She breathed in the heavenly aroma of roasted coffee beans as she considered his take on the matter. She planned to respond to his accusation with sheer denial, but as she opened her mouth, Lee and Kira walked through the front door. "Shit," Emma whispered. "Wait, is that him?" Brandon asked. He twisted around to see the pair placing their orders. "And his girlfriend." "Oh, shit," Brandon repeated. Moving closer to her, he said, "Look at me, Em. Keep your eyes on me, you hear?" Emma nodded in response. "We're just two people engaged in deep conversation. You never even notice them walk in." She tried to ignore the corner of her eye. Kira said something she couldn't quite make out, but she picked out the words "scene partner," said in a sarcastic tone. Taking Brandon's advice, she acted as though they didn't exist. "I hope Tracy doesn't come in and think something is going on," she said. Brandon laughed. "Tracy likes you. When we explain, she'll understand. How are we doing?" "It looks like they're almost done." Emma let out a sigh. "They're gone," she said. "I'm so embarrassed." So you misconstrued a performance. No biggie." Emma moved to another seat just as Tracy breezed in. With long black hair tucked behind her ears, she leaned over to kiss Brandon hello. Emma wondered how they ever hugged without him breaking her in half. She was so petite next to his hefty frame. "What's going on?" "Emma's in love with her scene partner," said Brandon. "Oh, yeah?" Tracy asked enthusiastically. Brandon sneered. "But he has a girlfriend." "Oh, Emma, that sucks." Emma glared at Brandon. "I'm not in love with him." "She thought his stage kiss was real," Brandon said. Emma wished she could crawl in a hole and hide. No one except her had taken the portrayal of Edmund's goodbye as anything more than an overly acted scene. Lee's explanation made perfect sense. Maybe Edmund should kiss Lady Jane more vehemently. It would be his last time to see her. Diverting the conversation off of herself, she asked Tracy about her art. She sat for an hour and listened to stories about lighting and shadows. She watched as Tracy ran a hand through Brandon's perfectly combed sandy hair. The way they complemented one another made Emma wish that she had a relationship similar to theirs. Not with Lee, just someone. Emma had poured a half a bowl of cereal for dinner when she got a text from Lee. "Hey, I forgot my other shirt. Can I come by?" He referred to the black t-shirt he'd lent her the first day of class. She'd forgotten about it as well when they washed his laundry. Although still a tad miffed at him, she supposed he had every right to get his shirt. He had been nice enough to let her wear it. "Yeah, I'm home." His knock came within minutes of his message. Assuming he just meant to grab the shirt and go, she held it out to him as she opened the door. He didn't take it. Instead, he looked past her into the apartment. "Am I interrupting anything?" he asked. "Not at all." "Can I come in?" "Sure, what's up?" She moved aside, allowing him to enter, bewildered at his strange attitude. "I don't know. You looked pretty cozy at the coffee shop. I thought you might not be alone." The vein in her neck began to throb as his meaning became clear. "You thought Brandon might be here?" Lee shrugged his shoulders, leering at her. His accusation caused a whirlwind of indignation within her. She thought they'd built a mutual respect after their time together. He plainly assumed she brought guys home with her regularly. "Why?" she asked. Lee pointed to the couch. "You sat here and told me you weren't dating anyone. And then I see you with Brandon. What, are you jealous? She demanded. I just don't like being lied to. Did you cheat on that guy with me? Emma threw his shirt at him, seething. You can get the hell out!
Thanks for listening to What Happens Between the Scenes. If you're enjoying the story, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Episodes are released weekly, and you can also find me on social media channels at Laura Purple Butterfly. See you next week.
Street lights.